The Mull of Kintyre is infamous among sailors because of its extremely strong tides and unpredictable weather. All of the water from the Irish Sea squeezes through an 11-mile gap between Scotland and Northern Ireland, creating powerful currents which can be dangerous to small vessels trying to navigate these waters at the wrong time. And the tides on this particular day meant that we'd have to leave at 2 p.m. for a sail that would take us about 8 hours, so we're now in a race with sunset if we wanted to avoid arriving at night. Hi, we're Laura and Stu, and we spent the summer sailing around Scotland on our 36-foot sailboat Delfino. Up until this year, we'd mostly sailed in the Mediterranean, where there are no tides, so our experience with big currents is very limited. Attempting to round the Mull of Kintyre was a huge step for us, and one that we weren't taking lightly. We'd done our research and chosen a window that meant we'd have the tide with us for most of the way, so now it was time to leave Campbelltown.
Ready? All right, I'm gonna go click forward. Well, I think that was pretty successful. A little bit stressful. Couldn't get the stern around to port, but made it away from the other motorboat at least. Just left Campbelltown on our way to Gigha, which should be pretty fun. I think it's around 30-something nautical miles. We're rounding the Mull of Kintyre, which has a bit of a fearsome reputation. So we've timed it for the tides. The question is whether we'll arrive at night or not, which will be our first time arriving into Anchorage at night, but it should be clear skies, should be good visibility. How hard can it be?
Famous last words, don't say that.
I know. It'll be fine. We'll be okay.
I feel like I need to document this moment before it goes away, but we are sailing in Scotland and I'm in a t-shirt and wearing suncream. Should we take bets on how long this lasts?
I think it'll last all day.
All day?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I think half an hour. So it's 2:30 now, so I think I will be in a jumper before 3 o'clock.
Watching the F1 underway.
During spring tides, the currents around the Mull can run at up to 5 knots, the same as our average speed on Delfino. So if we timed the tides wrong, we'd be stationary at best, going backwards at worst. The other factor that can make this area dangerous is the weather. If the wind is blowing against the tide, the two opposing forces create extremely choppy seas that would be dangerous in our small boat. There are 2 ways to avoid these overfalls, either staying close into land or going miles offshore. We chose a day where the winds were blowing in the same direction as the tide and had a comfortable and uneventful sail around the Mull. Because of the good conditions, we felt comfortable taking the inshore route in theory, but were still a bit nervous finding ourselves so close to such infamous rocks. We enjoyed the scenery, watched the birds, and were amazed by how fast we rocketed around the headland.
This is the island of Sander behind me, which is kind of the start of the big tidal stream that goes around the Mull of Kintyre. And we were hoping to reach here at about 4:30, and it is, what time is it, 4:45?
Yeah.
Yep. Which is just as the tide has turned in our favour. So we are currently doing 7 knots, and we are hoping that that will continue as we go around, if not get a bit quicker. It's been a lovely sail this afternoon, super sunny and lovely. We've just been listening to the F1 on the radio, and got another couple of hours ahead of us. Got 7.2 knots. The speed is going up as I speak.
We reached a top speed of 10.9 knots over ground, the fastest speed we've ever seen in a sailboat. And this extra help from the tide meant it was looking good for our arrival into Ardminish Bay before nightfall. So we've made it to this point in the video without any mention of Paul McCartney or Wings. I can't play you the Mull of Kintyre for copyright reasons, and to be honest I'm not sure I would anyway because it's not really my cup of tea, but feel free to mute the royalty-free music and put it on instead if it is more your thing. Stu had never heard it before, so was shocked to learn that it was Christmas #1 and the UK's best-selling song ever at the time of its release.
time I ask, what bird is that? It's a gannet. Turns out they could look like anything.
They always look the same.
Not to me, they don't.
Not if you think they have purple heads. Okay, time to pay attention.
Once we rounded the Mull and started heading north towards Gigha, we decided to give the autopilot a break and hand steer. We were still learning how to balance our sails, and we hadn't quite got our sail plan right for the gusty downwind conditions that we found ourselves in.
It's a workout. Yeah, we have been trucking along round the Mull of Kintyre and up towards Gigha. We've so far been averaging about 8 to 9 knots all day, and we hit a top speed of 10.9 knots.
Over ground?
Over ground, yeah. We've had a lot of tide with us because we tried to carefully time it so that we caught the tide around. And it's been lovely weather, and we've been very, very grateful that we did it today with the weather that we've had and the wind blowing in the right direction. And it's been just what we needed after a couple of frustrating sails with the wind coming from exactly where we wanted to go and the tide going against us. So
It's
yeah,
been awesome.
it's been a really good day.
Yeah, take a clip of that.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll show you the other side now.
But as we neared our anchorage and sunset, the wind gradually eased and we had a relaxing final few hours. Thanks to the long Scottish summer days, we made it into Ardmanish Bay just in time for sunset at 10 p.m. After a rainy few days at anchor, the sun came out and it was time to head ashore.
Launching the dinghy for the first time. Discovering its quirks.
Our dinghy is designed to split into 2 parts that nest inside each other to take up less space on deck. It's a bit of extra hassle when launching, but well worth the trade-off in our opinion. But it was hard to be patient and enjoy the process this time. Although we've been in Scotland for almost 2 weeks, Gigha was the first Scottish island that we visited and we were super keen to get ashore. Gigha is one of the smaller Hebridean islands, covering roughly 4.5 square miles and home to about 160 people. Before coming here, I'd heard that there were white sand beaches and turquoise bays in the Hebrides, but I wasn't sure if I believed that they were going to be as beautiful as the pictures that I'd seen. But Gigha's beaches certainly lived up to the hype, as well as giving us our first taste of the epic Scottish scenery and standing stones. We hiked up to the north end of the island to visit the Twin Beaches, a peninsula with white sandy bays on both sides. We also found some of Gigha's cows heading down to enjoy the beach too. When we got back to the boat, we were treated to another Scottish surprise. Ardmanish Bay is home to the Boathouse, one of the best restaurants we ate in during our entire stay in Scotland. We had a great meal here to top off a brilliant day of exploring. The next day it was time to leave Ardmanish, but not quite time to leave Gigha just yet. We moved around to the north end of the island with some new friends for a beach barbecue. After all the hard work we'd put in, it finally felt like we were cruising, and we couldn't believe how much we enjoyed our first Scottish island. We weren't originally planning to go around the Mull of Kintyre or visit Gigha, but we're so glad that we did. Thanks for watching. Join us next time as we head to Cruve Haven to tackle some of the boat jobs we didn't get around to doing before we left and fix things that we'd already managed to break.